I want you to take a second and imagine all of the children that I just spoke about, their mothers, their fathers, desperately seeking medical care and searching for hope in one of the few remaining hospitals in Gaza. Then the electricity cuts out. The entrance to the hospital is struck by a missile. The hospital is threatened with forced displacement orders again. It's apocalyptic. That same hospital where I witnessed each of those horrific tragedies has been targeted multiple times over the past 14 months, as has virtually every single hospital in Gaza. Hospitals and healthcare workers have been systematically targeted by the Israeli military from the very first day. Our colleagues and friends have been killed, maimed, unlawfully detained, and tortured. I have personally met healthcare workers who describe physical, psychological, and sexual torture by Israeli military and Israeli prison guards. One of my most dedicated nursing colleagues, Saeed, had been abducted while evacuating from Al-Shifa Hospital after an Israeli forced displacement order. He was detained for 53 days and described the most horrific forms of torture. After his release, he suffered from severe insomnia, and yet he attended the ER every single day to care for his patients. He fell asleep one day holding the small body of a fatally injured infant who had died during an attempted resuscitation from exhaustion. Dr. Ghanem, who I quoted before, wrote in April, 6 months before he was killed, I quote, "Al-Shifa Hospital was under siege while I was inside it 3 times, and I was forcefully removed from it twice. This time, it was the most severe, both in terms of the siege, the incursion, and the amount of destruction. We were 13 doctors in the emergency department. All of us were tortured to different degrees, and six doctors were injured or arrested. I am only talking about the department I was in charge of. I am not talking about the doctors who were executed directly from other apartments after they were arrested, or the doctors whose fate is still unknown." End quote. Over 1,000 healthcare workers have been killed in Gaza. Hundreds of healthcare workers have been held in Israeli captivity. At least 4 have been killed while in detention. Their bodies are still being held. Every single healthcare worker I met in Gaza has lost family, has lost friends, has lost colleagues. Every single healthcare worker I met has been displaced multiple times, has been forced out of the hospitals where they work. Many healthcare workers have been killed while trying to rescue the wounded in what has infamously been called Israel's double or triple strike attacks, where a location is struck, and then shortly after it is struck a second and third time once the rescue workers are there to retrieve the casualties.